Hi guys, welcome to another tutorial on IT Tutorials. I am Josef Botnar. I am continuing the series of tutorials regarding this project, school registration system. This project is done using Visual C# and Microsoft SQL Server 2019. This tutorial has the goal to make the code inside this method add. Actually, this method will add the records from this form register user in a database concrete inside this table TBL users. Actually now we don't have any records inside this table because I haven't insert any values in it so far, but I'm gonna to do it after I finish the code. So how I want this form and exactly this button to be functional. After I press this button, all the records filled in these text boxes will be inserted in this table TBL users. So that this code will do. Actually will insert all these records inside the table TBL users table placed in a database. Also I want after the user press this button register, all the records regard to users to be displayed in this data grid view. So let's start to make the code, and after I finish the code, I will give you all the explanations regard to this code. So let's start. here you go. I finished this code. So what I have done here, first of all, I go here in Microsoft SQL Server Management Studio. I created this procedure as you have seen. How I have done this. Just select store procedure. Stored procedure is found here in programmability. Just select stores procedure, right click with the mouse, new, and click on store procedure. So I create this procedure in order to add users in this table. Let me to close this. Yeah, it is about this table TBL users. As you have seen, I have done here a mistake. I had a mistake. By mistake, I wrote user ID instead of user name. That's why I received that error. Actually, how I fixed the mistake, you just go on the procedure, right click and select modify, and I modify the column from a TBL user which was written wrong, and I replaced user ID with the username, and after the app worked properly. So this is the procedure, but actually you should have on the first position user name. I use these parameters in order to insert the values in this table TBL users. Actually, these parameters will take over the values from the code from this form after the user will fill in all these records in these text boxes. Now here inside the user class, I have done the code inside this method add, which is part of this class user. Before I wrote these namespaces which I need for the connection with the SQL server. This is system.data and system.data.sql client. Also I need this system.configuration in order to create a connection with my database. On this code line I created a string which will store the connection, the path which will connect your app with your database. Actually, this is the name of the connection. This class configuration manager, if you don't have this namespace, this sample is here in references. It is about this one. You have to go to make a reference to this sample. Select the references, right click, add reference, and here select assemblies and just check this system.configuration, and after OK to bring in these assemblies which you need to create this string which will store the connection with our database. Actually, this name of connection string you can take it from this file app.config. Just click on it, and here is the name of the connection. As you have seen, I have had here a very long connection string name. You can change it, and you can use a different name. Alright, let's go back, and so this is the string for connection. Here I instantiate this object for connection. Here I create the object for a SQL command, which will add our values inside the TBL user table using this method add with value, which has two parameters. One is the parameter used in stored procedure in SQL Server, and another one is the property used here inside this user class. This property, username, password, position, which here behind this method user data, these properties take over the values from the text boxes of username, password, and position. I mean from these text boxes. Yeah. All right. And after I use this block tray catch and finally to avoid exceptions and also to catch the exception if there is the case. As you have seen before, I received an error, yeah, because there in my store procedure I write the user ID instead of username, and here the connection with database is open, and on this code line actually this method execute non-query will execute all these commands which will add the values inside the table in a SQL server. All right, and here the connection is closed with database. Also, when you use this try catch block, it's very useful this finally, and put the close method which will close the connection with database inside this finally block. Yeah, this is a good practice. And finally I have this message box with show method which will show this message user was added successfully. Here inside this register user file, if I click on this button register, this will take me inside this method with this event click, and here I use this method user data which is used to take over the values from register user form. And as you can see, after using this conditional structure f with this method is user controls valid, which will validate all the records filled in the text boxes on register user form. And if the entries are validated, the compiler will go inside this method and will execute, will call actually this method which will add our records regard to a user inside the TBL user table in our database. And as you have seen here, I add the data source to this data grid view, which is the TBL user table, and this is the data set. The data set actually is placed in a computer memory which will store our table from SQL Server. I mean this table TBL users, yeah. And by default, after we set here in the data grid view the data source, and we created this data set, Visual Studio created automatically this method with this event load and this code line which will load the user's records in our data grid view from TBL user table, and I copy and paste this line of code here inside this method btn register user in order to display in data grid view the records related to user after I press the register user button. And this method will clear our controls. Yeah. So let's release again this application and let's see how it works. Click on admin and let's fill in these text boxes. Here you go. Click on register. User was added successfully. Here is the user added successfully. Yeah, user ID 2, username, the password, and the position. Now let's go inside the SQL server here and let's release again this table. Select the top 1000 rows, and here you go. Here are our records regard to these two user what I have inserted in my form, register user form. So that's all for today. Thank you for watching this video tutorial. See you next time. Bye bye.